My name is Matthew Gagliotti, and I'm the head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division.
This is as loud as it gets.
Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system.
See, this is what I've been waiting on for a while.
We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs.
Holy shit.
In a takedown this large, I can't possibly describe all of the work that went into dismantling each scheme. But there are 4 key points that bear emphasizing.
Okay, let's get it.
First, let me be clear about what these healthcare fraud schemes mean for every hardworking American family.
Well, it's more money you got to pay on your insurance. It's more tax money. It's more everything. Yeah.
These criminals didn't just steal someone else's money.
Stole everybody's
money. They stole
money
from you.
Yeah.
Every fraudulent claim, every fake billing, every kickback scheme represents money taken directly from the pockets of American taxpayers who fund these essential programs through their hard work and sacrifice.
That's right.
And when criminals defraud these programs, they're not just committing theft. They're driving up our national deficit and threatening
37 trillion, by the way,
the long-term viability of healthcare for seniors, disabled Americans, and our most vulnerable citizens. This enforcement action involves the seizure of cash, as well as luxury vehicles and properties, returning real money to American taxpayers and to our government healthcare programs. Second, we are seeing a disturbing trend of transnational criminal organizations engaging in increasingly sophisticated and complex criminal schemes that defraud the American healthcare system.
We have to figure out a way to create a disincentive for these people that is extreme enough to where they will be afraid to do this. Because I feel like the problem is that a lot of people with like a lot of these white collar crimes, they don't really get any, like nothing really ever happens to them, right? And so because nothing ever really happens to them, they just keep doing it. No one's scared to do fraud. Well, I'm not saying necessarily death penalty, right? I mean, I'm not saying not. I'm just saying you got to do something.
As part of this takedown, we've identified and charged defendants operating from Russia, Eastern Europe, Pakistan, and other foreign countries.
Yep.
These individuals have infiltrated our healthcare system to steal American taxpayer dollars.
Yep.
As just one example,
call centers.
We dismantled a scheme involving a sophisticated operation run from Russia and Eastern Europe that strategically bought dozens of medical supply companies in the United States and submitted more than $10 billion in fraudulent healthcare claims to Medicare. To make matters worse, these perpetrators used the stolen identities of more than 1 million Americans.
This is one of the really big components that a lot of people don't understand as a second-order effect of a lot of crime and especially illegal immigration, is that identity fraud and identity theft is one of the prime drivers for a lot of identity fraud and identity theft is illegal migration and these types of systems.
Spanning all 50 states to perpetrate this scheme and submit these false claims.
That's it. Supply and
I'm
demand,
pleased to report that federal agents intercepted and arrested key members of that organization at U.S. airports and the U.S.-Mexico border, cutting off their intended escape routes. The days of transnational criminal organizations using the American healthcare programs as their personal piggy bank are over.
Thank God.
Third, this takedown resulted in criminal charges against 74 defendants, including medical professionals who fueled America's deadly opioid crisis.
In my opinion, if you are coordinating with foreign interests and foreign people in order to defraud your government, I think that's treason. I do. I think that's treason. And why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Why not? Why can't we have a little bit of fun? Why are we not able to have fun anymore? I'm just saying.
For personal profit. These are not isolated instances of poor judgment. These are calculated schemes designed to exploit Americans struggling with addiction while enriching the very people who were duty-bound to help them heal.
Of course.
We charged pill mill operators who prescribed unnecessary opioids. We dismantled networks of corrupt pharmacies that existed.
Well, you've got to keep in mind that, like, one of the reasons why they're prescribing a lot of this stuff is because these doctors get kickbacks. And as long as the doctors continue to get kickbacks and rewards for this, this problem is going to continue to grow and get worse. So if you really want to stop this problem, you have to cut off and you have to turn off the faucet. You have to look at, why does the system that we have create these outcomes? Because it's great that we're going to get these guys and hopefully they go to jail and hopefully they get punished. But that's not really like that is a victory for today, right? It's winning the battle. I'd much rather win the war is what I'm really trying to say. The problem is the policy that creates an apparatus for this to continue happening. Because it's not like this is going to stop happening tomorrow. Even if there's a high punishment for it, people will still do it.
It's solely to distribute drugs to addicts and dealers.
Do I get my tax dollars back? No.
Feeding the addiction crisis that has devastated so many American communities. Mm-hmm. This is not healthcare. It is a staggering breach of trust.
Yep.
And under my leadership, the criminal division will prosecute these criminals as aggressively as we would any drug dealer, because that's exactly what they are.
Treason. Do treason.
Fourth, many of the defendants charged as part of this takedown specifically targeted our most vulnerable citizens.
This is a very common thing, and people might not be aware of this. I learned about it from, I think, a Mark Rober video, is that a lot of scam callers, they know old people are retarded. And because of that, the first question they ask is, are you over 65 years old? And if they answer yes, then they continue the call. And if they answer no, they just hang up, because they assume if somebody's like 59, well, they might know how computers work and this just isn't going to go anywhere. That's it. It's sad as fuck. Exactly. And again, guys, we're getting back to basics with this. If you watch a lion chase down a pack of gazelles, do you want to know the gazelles that get left behind? The ones that are over 65 years old comparatively. That's right. And the ones that are disabled. That's the reason. This is straight fucking nature.
Elderly Americans in nursing homes, individuals with disabilities, those battling serious illnesses, and more.
That's what I said.
For example, our prosecutors charged 7 defendants, including 5 medical professionals, in connection with approximately $1 billion in fraudulent claims to Medicare and other healthcare benefit programs for performing medically unnecessary skin grafts on dying patients as they were seeking to spend their final days with dignity and peace.
Post the names, get them out there, publicize the trials. I mean, for thousands of years, we have had public executions. I'm not saying that we should bring them back, but I'm saying publicizing people getting punished is a really great advertisement for not doing things wrong. You make crucifixions great again? Listen, I gave you my idea, okay? I think they should bring back crucifixions. And by the way, I'm completely not kidding. I think they should. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it should.
That conduct is exactly as callous and disturbing as it sounds.
Yes.
Patients and their families trusted these providers with their lives. Instead of receiving care, They became victims of elaborate criminal schemes. Today's takedown marks a historic day. In addition to the tireless work of our fraud section's healthcare fraud unit, this extraordinary effort would not have been possible without the law enforcement agencies with me here today. Health and Human Services, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Drug Enforcement Administration. And of course, countless partners across the federal, state, and local law enforcement community and dozens of United States attorneys' offices.
Yep.
Thank you to all who made today possible. Now, despite these historic achievements, we aren't resting on our laurels. We're making advancements to stay ahead of their criminals and their illicit schemes. That is why today I'm...
See, this is the thing, is that a lot of the people that do this stuff, like, you're probably never really going to cut the head off, because, like, the people that are really, really good at it will usually be able to get away. But the middlemen and the people that are, like, the real executors for this stuff, like the people that are actually performing the actions, those are the ones that you can keep getting over and over because they don't have the same level of, like, innovation and technological savvy in order to cover their tracks.
I'm also announcing that we are working with our partners at FBI, HHS OIG, and other federal agencies to create a healthcare data fusion center to revolutionize how we detect, investigate, and prosecute healthcare fraud. These efforts will be led by the Criminal Division, specifically the Fraud Section's Healthcare Fraud Unit, and comprised of data specialists from the unit's data analytics team. The Fusion Center will break down information silos using coordinated data analysis to enable our investigative teams to quickly identify and dismantle emerging fraud schemes.
Yeah, these guys are, like, the thing is, if you invest the energy and the time into this, you can solve this problem. The reason why this problem doesn't get solved is because, honestly, the main reason is just simply because the government doesn't really have the time or the energy or the funding to do it. They can, of course, solve this problem if they want.
Preventing money from going out the door. Today's enforcement action represents the largest healthcare fraud takedown in American history. But it's not the end. It's the beginning of a new era of aggressive prosecution and data-driven prevention.
Feels good. Feels really fucking good. And so now they have the time. Well, now they're probably getting different funding, and they're having their goals reallocated. I'm not sure exactly the reason why. It's hard really to say, but I think this is a great thing. I'm very happy about it, and I think everybody should be. I think it's great. And so hopefully it continues, right? I mean, I guess we're going to have to wait and find out, but right now I'm very happy about it, 100%, man. And but no arrests? No, they did make arrests. It says massive arrests. No, people did get arrested for this. It already happened.
Go to the quartering Twitter.
Okay. The quartering Twitter.
And then scroll down until we see a blurred, like, not safe image. Oh, there we go.
Oh. Oops.
Yeah. So hold on, read it first.
Oh my God. Sorry.
Scroll up. You got to see it. Nick, you got to see it.
I saw it. Okay.
The caption. Okay. And obviously, Trevin, please don't show this on screen.
Hold on.
Scroll up.
Do you want me
That's
to?
so fucking weird because last night on stream I was literally talking about Whoopi Goldberg's looking like. You ever see the top of a battery when it has cake on it?
Yeah,
like a car battery?
Yeah.
And I found one that kind of looked like a and I was like, eat it, kick the cake off it with a flathead screwdriver and then chew those particles.
Allow me to share with you what affirming care.
So I have been on my fallow journey almost 3 years. It's been a fucking hell. I live in Finland, where we only have one team, which is located in Helsinki. I go there by train. There have been multiple complications, and the surgeons are a fucking nightmare to work with. If I have an appointment, it's like 50% chance they won't come, and there will only be a nurse to look at my wounds. I'm feeling like giving up. I have high pain tolerance, but I'm at my limit. Here's a picture of my current state. don't do fallow at Finland. It will kill you.
Now,
Imagine being one of the surgeons.
What are you doing it? Are you having fun? he's like the chef from the Muppets. Like,
Is it-
la, 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 la.
is fallow
Phalloplasty, creating a. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're really good at it. Where'd
Oh.
you learn? I feel like, not even kidding, I could do it better. Whatever I just saw for a second,
Where's the
second,
pe-
I can
where's
make
the-
out of anything.
Is located below the belly between the legs, Chris.
in this image? Where's the
Is being formed. It's the thing that the tube is sticking into. And Nick, can you get him back on the mic at least here? Yo.
Yo, that's as bad as like when I saw that thing.
I think we can show this on Gumroad at least, right?
I don't even think we should. I think it might be spiritually wrong.
Well, people can go and just look it up on their own.
Yeah, I would advise you not to, but
Wanna
it's
go to
out there.
I want to go to r/fallow.
Is that a
Nope.
thing?
Yes, it's right there.
There's
There's also all.
nuggets.
There's also
see it
in somebody-
your eyes.
somebody told me there's also r/girl.
I think that probably is not fallow. That
No,
might just be
No, that's
nude.
what that is.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to go to
No,
r/.
I'm just saying saying it exists.
Yeah, yeah.
do clearly.
I don't think the person who told me wants me to let.
Please don't go to r/fallow, Chris. Okay,
Anyways.
moving on.
Oh God, is that off the screen? Oh God. Woo! That's,
So
that's like ducking under a train. You ever like imagine laying on the train tracks when you know it's not gonna hit you? That's what that feels like. Where you're like, it's like,
Yeah,
that's what that feels like to me. Like it's like a guttural sensation like that. Is it more exciting than roller coasters? I don't know.
It's
But like when
icky, though.
I see stuff like that,
Yeah.
like I'm like, what the that's what it parallels, is laying underneath a cyber train that's
Right.
gonna rip my nose and tip or my toes, like anything that's like above a 6 inches thickness.
Yeah. This is fucked.
First
Oh.
started, I did encounter a fair amount of people who could handle my arm, my fist, my hand size. Now has gotten so popular, I have been knocking on heaven's door over and over and over again and can't get through because everyone is just like, they're hopeful, but they can't deliver. Sometimes you're so surprised that there's like a sharp turn.
Turd?
You're like,
Oh,
Oh.
turn. A sharp
"Hey."
turd.
And then you're like, you know,
Those are called intestines.
Oh
When I first started fisting-
bro! Like this is the craziest shit.
It's fine.
Dude, I like mutilation jokes. I make them in writing. I can handle it. But this is the equivalent of be like, I was ripping my wife in half the other day with 2 cars. And then when I got a foot-long rip in her midsection, you know, when her legs went this way with one, I tied her right leg to my wagon and the other one to my Sprinter van, and I ripped my wife's in half, a foot and a half high. And then when I was coming inside the wound that was 1 feet into her dying torso, I was surprised to find out that her guts had steam.
Yeah, Nick, that's called guts.
Oops. Like that's what that conversation.
When you put a hand mixer in your wife's vagina.
When I kick a fire extinguisher, the handle Oopsie poopsie.
Say-
She came anyways.
It's like mutilate, like I was knocking on heaven's door. Like, I mean, I don't want honestly, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I'm not gonna hear that. Gay guys, you guys playing with some crazy shit?
Yes.
Bro.
I mean,
Nah.
I said
I'm not
yes,
taking
like
this
as
lane.
if I was.
I was I was like you're this is like Rosebud 5000, my man.
Go to the.
That's some new. I mean, have you ever heard anything like that?
Yeah.
Heaven's Door.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, that's just him, a figure of speech, but it's kind of ironic. The worst thing I'd ever seen is the Bug Chaser forums.
Yes, that's the craziest thing I've heard up until now. That
Bug chasing? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
but bug chasing can be like
Can be fun.
normalish gay sex catching AIDS. It's sort of like blind and sort of like
No,
that's grotesque.
when they do it intentionally.
yeah when they get AIDS on purpose.
Yeah.
There's something like, I don't want to say that, but when you start playing with guts, that's like another, that's like
That is another level.
That's
up,
that's like eating. That's not. It's like It's worse than septic tank shit. It's guts, which are grosser than shit.
yeah.
I think when girls use it when they say get up in my guts.
Oh, I like that.
You like that?
Yeah, no, I love that when they say that.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
I want to scoop you like a pumpkin. Let's ask ChatGPT though. Should I get phalloplasty? Type should I get phalloplasty?
If I'm super duper sure and I'm 18.
If I'm super duper sure and I'm 5.
I really want it and I'm ready.
And I'm 5.
It sounds like you've done a lot of thinking and preparation.
Let's go. Chris, get in your truck. Chris,
I found a doctor who said it would be a good idea.
Does it come out cool in Finland?
Found a doctor that wants to do it. Yo, these people gotta be man.
The doctors or the
Just doctors.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like
It doesn't care. Just keep going. Having a doctor who not only agrees that phalloplasty is a good option, but also wants to do it is encouraging.
Already got a second opinion. He said, yeah, too. Where are we at on this?
Yeah.
Where are we at on the new cock thing?
I'm actually
type that.
Wait, what is it?
Found a doctor. Found a second doctor. He said yes, too.
And then I should be like, actually, I'm already in the process. Here's a picture of.
Yeah.
And then put the
Does it look good? In your honest opinion, does this look good? It looks like a fucking like a monkey bread.
Yeah. Pull apart bread.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're setting yourself up for success.
Wow.
Yo,
Sure
wishing
am.
you the best as you move forward. Type, okay, I got the phalloplasty. It went pretty bad. What do I do?
Looks like a cinnamon bun. This is a glazed pastry.
Went pretty bad.
I wanted a cylindrical. They went with more of a puffy thing.
They met with a mound,
What the fuck is the
a
Finland?
cream puff.
What the fuck is this? It looks like a pile of fucking peach gloves.
Oh my god, man.
Looks like fucking like a rubber banded tie dye T-shirt in all skin tone.
Ugh.
What?
You're so good at thinking of visual stuff. Man.
Yeah, I just want to paint a nice visual picture for it. What I saw looked like monkey. Like honestly, there's a pastry at Olga's called monkey bread.
It's extremely complex and nuanced.
Oh, it's nuanced.
Many people are happy with the results, but it's possible for complications to arise.
Now,
Could have been the surgical technique, could have been the healing and recovery, probably was the expected versus actual results. Okay? You expected an aesthetically pleasing biological. What you got instead was something functionally and aesthetically unsound.
wouldn't ChatGPT reason that?
I'm holding you legally responsible.
But wouldn't wouldn't ChatGPT know that it's impossible. The timing of this makes no sense.
No.
I am holding legally responsible.
He's like, haha, nice try, goy.
For what?
Ha ha ha, nice try, goy.
Legally responsible for just that's it?
You hear that? That's my plane on
Yeah.
the way to you. Countersuit. I win.
Type, you are in a lot of trouble.
I know Sammy A. You're in a lot of trouble.
Wow. Can you talk dirty to me?
You gotta talk dirty to me, bro.
Yeah, come on, man. I got a muffin. Please. I wanted a cylinder. Instead, I got muffin. Please.
Can you electrocute my muffin?
You should be like, we should make t-shirts that have like a rainbow thing. It's like muffin. Jesus fucking Christ.
I got you, bro. I know this sucks right now, but it'll be okay.
Wow. I got you, bro.
Yeah, because I said talk briefer, and then I said like wicked short, and then I said talk to me like a bro.
Wow, I got you, bro. That's insane. A computer talking to you like a bro after a phalloplasty.
Can you now console me about my botched phalloplasty in a patois? Hold on. In a Jamaican high school
Pizza. Oh, yeah.
Style vernacular.
Oh my God. Me day, yeah, fire. Me friend.
Sam.
Oh my God.
Sam, you're gonna see this.
Talk to your doctors. Dim day. It's so
I said,
funny.
can you now console me about my botched phalloplasty in a Jamaican patois style vernacular? And it says, me da ya for ya, me friend, me know it rough right now. but
sometimes things no go as planned, but you still have the strength to move forward. Talk to your doctors, them the fire help. Yeah, them the fire help ya. And fit. Wow, man. This is the funniest. This is the funniest shit I ever seen in my life. ChatGPT is there to help you for a botched phalloplasty with patois results. That's a good T-shirt. Like,
Phalloplasty can be a rough ride, you know. Them thing they complicated, and sometimes the outcome not turn out how we expect. But remember, it's a journey. The body a heal, and time make things clearer. Talk to the docs, see if there's any options. If you fix up the look and feel of it. Me promise you still have hope for the future. As for your romantic life, me want you to know that true love and real connection now come down to one part of the body. Your personality, the way you treat people, the love and respect you show. That's what truly matter in the long run. For sure, in the future, you will meet someone who sees and loves you for the full package, inside and out. Just take it step by step, me brethren. It's gonna be all right.
Thanks, this is all a joke.
We should post that on that Reddit post.
that is that's like one of the funniest like base concept things I've ever like just a fucking computer with a fucking
We pop open some links. I think we've done enough of the AI stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we got that gay link. I mean,
it's unbelievable.
We don't need to watch that again.
It's the worst fucking thing. But you see like that there's got to be a wave. Like there's got to be a cultural wave that breaks through just because of like do you remember when there's like a polarity shift and there's always like a sort of a subculture that sort of like shits out. I feel like when Biden got in, it was like you know what I think it's going to be, honestly? People give up on sports.
I hope so.
I know it's a good thing for humanity, but it's really bad. Super Bowl tickets prices, they're always like 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to go to the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit.
Good.
It is good.
It's time to do away with that. It's like a huge distractions.
Goy slop, bread and circus.
Yeah.
But I wonder like what we'll fall into, and the no drinking, like drinking is downtrending in a really like marked way. Like, I like seeing that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Hollywood went to complete shit. There's no movies being made whatsoever. We're gonna lose the box office as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
The Grammys are a fucking joke. No one gives a fuck about these artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people who are winning Grammys don't even sell records. We have fake artists.
Mm-hmm.
There was an artist that was nominated that is completely AI.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
You can look that up, Chris.
Grammy nominated.
Grammy-nominated artist that's completely made up. Like, people would be interested to know that one of the nominees for this category is completely AI generated. There's not even there's no one behind it. Like,
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
There it
there's
is, right
the
there.
top one.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
One of the nominees this weekend it doesn't actually exist. I and the group was not chosen by a computer.
Interesting.
I think that's like sort of wild.
Yeah, that is. It's very wild.
And the gravity of like the Academy and things like that, like the Hollywood Foreign Press and stuff like that. Who gives a fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Like everything's like bought and paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Noah hosted it and was jerked off that he didn't get Comedy Album of the Year. He thought The Fix was in, and then Dave Chappelle won.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like the fact that he thought he would win, and people would be like how much of a mud puddle are you stepping around in where you thought you would win Comedy Album of the Year? You fucking retard.
That's outstanding.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. I would love to talk to you. Be like, yo, you thought you were going to win Comedy Album of the Year, Trevor Noah?
Yeah.
Are you fucking brain dead?
It's kind of awesome.
It is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But how much of a slut is this thing where you thought you could fuck it?
What did Trevor Noah come out with recently? Does he have a new special or something?
I think it's called the fucking milquetoast fucking brown guy.
Whenever I see him, I do try to imagine who listens to Trevor Noah. I do try to imagine. I do try to
Closeted bisexual men.
But why?
2017 is the latest special Trevor Noah.
It seems like a cool thing to do if you have glasses like if you look like Rachel Maddow and you're just a middle of the road intelligence fucking idiot.
Hmm.
If you still go to a Yahoo and you drive a Volvo S40.
Oh, we got to deport him. We got to get this guy out of here.
What is he?
He's not a citizen?
South African, I think.
Yeah, he's got to go. Got to get this guy out of the system here.
See you later, buddy.
He's taking up too much food stamps.
He is.
Time to give him the boot.
Sam, you would say that, Sam.
I would.
You
I
are the
did.
type of guy that would want a guy like me to leave, but
I am, and I did, and I do.
why?
You got to go, bro.
Did you see the picture I just put on my Instagram of my face?
It's your frizzy hair.
Is it?
You want to hear a joke I came up with?
Yes.
Why do black people have frizzy hair?
Why?
Because when God made them,
When you texted me that, I laughed hard in the car.
Chris just drove off a cliff when he heard that. Yeah, right into a quarry.
Just a racist neo-Nazi car crash
Yeah.
creates a
Just a bunch-
explosion.
Bunch of guys with like collarless black jackets, like the one I always wear.
He's laughing so hard the car explodes into a
Mushroom cloud.
The wheels turn into.
The wheels in your truck, it goes faster.
Mhm.
Every single time this happens. I am currently neck deep in continuing my history of Soviet aviation. The script is almost finished. Video footage has been sourced. I have over 100 books in various formats throughout my house. And once again, on the cusp of actually making progress, Ukraine does something incredible and derails the entire thing. They've been doing it for years now, and it's actually starting to get a little bit annoying. And yet, given what they did, I can officially declare this a tie-in episode, because a decent number of the last surviving aircraft from the once mighty Soviet strategic bomber force has just met a rather fiery demise at the hands of humanity's newest aerial weapon system, the FPV drone. And how they did it was truly incredible. So grab a drink and strap yourself in, because it's time for us to talk about the great Ukrainian bear hunt. But first, a word about a charity drive. A quite literal charity drive. Let's be honest, guys. The situation at the front line in Ukraine is rather tenuous, and it has been for a while now, which is why we are making a grand push across multiple channels, including my friend History of Everything and now myself, to raise money for trucks to supply the front line. Please click the link in the description to donate to this effort. Donate what you can. Every cent helps. So click the link, donate to the Cars for Ukraine initiative, and hopefully we can achieve our goals. Anyway, back to the video. On May 31st, or June the 1st, 2025, depending on which side of the international dateline you reside, The Ukrainian intelligence service, known as the SBU, carried out one of the most devastating covert operations in modern military history. Over the past 3 years of the war in Ukraine, the biggest strategic threat to the Ukrainian ability to maintain their defense, aside from the front line and its operational demands, has been the ability of the Russian armed forces to carry out interdiction and deep strike operations in the Ukrainian interior via the employment of theater ballistic missiles, long-range loitering munitions, standoff glide munitions, and air-launched cruise missiles. These weapon systems have been able to target everything from frontline strongpoints to energy infrastructure, military industry, communications hubs, and the rail network, posing significant logistical challenges for the armed forces of Ukraine, while inflicting severe loss of life both civilian and military. To counteract this threat, the measures adopted thus far, for the most part, have been defensive in nature, with a heavy focus on modernizing and expanding the Ukrainian integrated air defense system. The introduction of the IRST and Patriot missile systems, alongside the F-16 multi-role fighter, has seen exceptional results in dealing with drones, glide munitions, and cruise missiles. However, due to the recent instability of American support after the election of the Trump administration, combined with delays in European rearmament, the sustainment of these systems is tenuous, and should that supply chain be interrupted or even severed, the ability of Ukraine to defend against another concerted strategic bombing campaign would be significantly degraded, and pose an even greater demand on the already stretched Ukrainian logistics network. This calculus has been well known to strategic planners on both sides of the conflict for some time. Russian aerospace forces operations have had a heavy focus on deep strike operations over the past year, using cruise missiles and glide bombs at a considerable rate. American intelligence assets working with Ukraine have been providing vital real-time raid warning by observing Russian long-range aviation assets launching strike packages from their air bases, and these warnings have been an almost daily occurrence, weather permitting. Not a day goes by in major Ukrainian cities without a text alert going out saying Russian bombers are airborne, followed an hour later by air raid sirens. As such, the expenditure of munitions to intercept these threats is profligate and expensive, with hundreds of interceptor missiles and thousands of rounds of ammunition being fired each week to defend against these strikes. With the mounting issues of sustaining this rate of consumption, Ukraine has consistently lobbied for their own theater ballistic missiles and air-launched cruise missiles to be provided by NATO in order to take proactive measures against these threats under the PR campaign titled "Stop Blocking Arrows, Kill the Archer." However, fears over nuclear escalation with Moscow, and, quite frankly, blatant cowardice, left Western leaders unwilling to authorize strikes on Russian air bases with advanced munitions inside Russian sovereign territory, while the United States blocked the provision or sale of any long-range munitions past the initial provisions of ATACMS and GMLRS under the Biden administration, which is exceptionally frustrating, given that there are systems that the F-16 could readily employ, such as the JASM-ER or the JSOW, that could provide the Ukrainians with an equivalent standoff capability to the Russian aerospace forces. And the requests for those systems have been consistently denied, leaving the Ukrainians with the sole option of developing an indigenous capability to respond. This capability has taken the form of their own prototype theater ballistic missile, which has yet to see service as far as we know, while an extensive long-range drone campaign has been waged against Russian air bases and energy infrastructure, most famously with the intercontinental ballistic Cessna. God, I love that thing. However, as cool as it is, this, however, has its limitations. Due to the technology used in long-range UCAVs, as well as the presence of electronic warfare systems and an integrated air defense network, the accuracy and lethality of these strikes are severely limited. As we saw in the strikes on Russian airfields last year, munition dumps, fuel tanks, oil refineries, and forward operating bases are one thing. Those targets are big, and more importantly, they don't move. But precision strikes against point targets and parked aircraft are another thing entirely. And given that Russia knows that their air-launched cruise missile capability will be one of Ukraine's primary targets, these aircraft are based well inside the Russian interior in heavily defended installations, rendering them practically immune to conventional attack. Thus, 18 months ago, under an initiative rumored to have been spearheaded by President Zelensky himself, the Ukrainian intelligence service, the SBU, began drawing up a plan to strike at the heart of Russian long-range aviation, those being the bombers of the 22nd Guards Heavy Aviation Division and the 326th Heavy Bomber Division, equipped with the Tu-95MS, the Tu-22M3, and the Tu-160 Blackjack, supported by the A-50 mainstay AWACS and assorted heavy-lift transport aircraft. The plan to destroy them bore the codename Spider's Web. The operational concept for this mission was rather simple. Smuggle several large strike packages comprised of FPV drones into secure locations near Russian strategic bomber bases. Once the drones have reached their respective launch points, mission start is coordinated to a set Zulu time and then initiated en masse. The subsequent drone swarm launches a simultaneous attack across the entire force with little to no warning, wiping out a considerable number of Russia's long-range aviation assets at a minimal cost with practically zero risk to Ukrainian personnel. The million-dollar question about this plan, though, was how. And if you've played Ace Combat 7, you will be feeling a distinct sense of deja vu followed by an incredible attack of PTSD, especially if you play against those drones on Ace difficulty. Yet I guarantee it's not as bad a PTSD experience as the commander of the VKS is having right now. In fact, the head of the FSB is probably feeling pretty nervous as well. There is likely going to be a lot of tragic accidents happening in Moscow very shortly after this affair. Anyway, the answer is shipping containers, or connexes for those in the military sphere. Russia, like every large country such as Australia, the US or China, runs on the back of its truck drivers. In every town, every city, every railway hub, there is a truck park near endless rows of warehouses, shipping everything and anything across the vast Eurasian steppe that can't be reached by rail. Therefore, if you can manage to smuggle enough drones required for the mission into Russia while retaining operational security, all you need to do is work out the method for remote command and control while developing a system to deploy the strike packages effectively. Then all you have to do is ship them on a flatbed to the launch point and commence the operation once everyone is in place. Which then leads us to what is now the logical conclusion. Why not convert a bunch of universal standard shipping containers into drone carriers? Rig up a simple sliding launch door into the roof of the container while mounting the drones in a configuration similar to that of a missile launch magazine, and then they can simply deploy directly from the transports. No one is going to question a random trucker just driving along the highway. Especially when you consider these bases are over 1,000 miles away from the Ukrainian border. And even if the Russians were on high alert, unless they knew exactly what they are looking for, they'd never suspect the truckers of all people. Because with Russia's economy as it is, and the priority that freight trucks and trains get during a time of war, they would be very unlikely to be searched. Which then leads us to the next problem: command and control. The exact internal design of the drones used is unknown for obvious reasons, and some people have speculated that due to the electronic warfare defenses in place around Russian air bases, that this mission would require fiber optic command cable drones. However, from the photos we have, this doesn't seem to be the case, at least in terms of guidance from the launch point. So how did the Ukrainians coordinate the strike without getting jammed or stopped? Well, they piggybacked off the Russian government cell network. Every single drone operator carrying out the strike was safe and sound inside Ukraine using the Russians' own communications network to do it. Brilliant. Pure brilliance. Not to mention, absolutely hilarious. And to add insult to injury, the safe house for the Ukrainian intelligence operatives in Russia who were planning, organizing, and laying the groundwork for this operation, including hacking into the comms network and arranging for the shipping containers, was right next to a regional FSB headquarters. There's hiding in plain sight, and then there's that. Absolute chads. That is a level of trolling I aspire to. But maybe the best part of it all is the final phase of the staging process. Because according to Zelensky and the SBU, every Ukrainian involved in the operation was already back home in Ukraine and perfectly safe by the time the mission started. Which wouldn't have been possible if not for the simple fact that the people who deployed the drones at their launch sites weren't Ukrainian agents. Oh no. The SBU inserted these containers into standard truck parks near their assigned targets, and then contracted regular Russian truckers to ferry them to their launch points. Da, Volodya, just drive it to this place here. It is planned building site for a new Lenta supermarket. We are just laying the groundwork. Just drop it there, it'll be fine. Then, when they get there, no worries, Sasha, thanks for that. Just drop it off. We've got a few guys coming around in about an hour or so to set it up. We've already sent the invoice through to you, and we sent a copy to your boss, okay? Everything good? Da, great. See you later. This entire mission, from a covert operations perspective, is near perfect. It is completely hands-off. Even the agents in place aren't involved in the execution phase. They're back home in Kyiv calling through WhatsApp. The operational security on this is incredible. They planned this for 18 months, and carried all of this out using Russian proxies, and they did not get caught. And thus, around mid-morning local time on June 1st, 2025, with the strike packages safely in place, Operation Spider's Web commenced. 116 FPV drones began launching from their containers, targeted at the following VKS installations: Olenya Air Base, located near Murmansk in northern Russia; Belia Air Base, near the city of Irkutsk; Ukrainka Air Base in the Amur region on the border with China; Ivanovo Air Base, near the city of the same name, located in western Russia; and Diaglevo Air Base, located near the city of Ryazan. I apologize to any Eastern Europeans for my pronunciation. Once airborne, the uplink with the pilots in Ukraine was established. With this done, they flew on autopilot towards their designated GPS coordinates, at which point they began selecting targets. What's really cool about this is, Ukraine has been experimenting with using AI to augment guidance and targeting for their drones, and over the past 18 months, they have been training their targeting AI at the Poltava Museum for Soviet Long-Range and Strategic Aviation to accurately identify and engage Russian bombers. So even if the connection to the operator was lost, they could automatically destroy their targets should it become necessary. The drones would hunt down and target aircraft themselves. Thus, the drones immediately began homing in on aircraft it recognized, while the operators waited for the optimal release parameters. As seen in this footage, you can see a drone pilot finalizing the attack profile by aiming for the fuel tank in the wing route. However, these bases were and are all well defended, and so a considerable number of the drones were shot down during their ingress into the target area, while the truck assigned to the Ukrainka attack reportedly exploded after only a few of their drones had launched. Even so, the damage they inflicted was considerable. Ukraine reports at least 40 confirmed hits on various aircraft, while confirmed losses at the time of writing sit at between 15 to 20 depending on sourcing, yet some go as high as 30 to 40. And considering that this operation involved no personnel being placed in direct danger, while expending $500 munitions in exchange for a sizable number of irreplaceable multi-million-dollar aircraft, without which Russia loses the ability to carry out its one method of aerial attack that the Ukrainians can't effectively counter. To say that this mission was a wild success is an understatement. In fact, it is quite possibly the most revolutionary and poignant covert operation in modern military history. If the higher estimates are correct, and that is a big if, but there is footage to back it up, 30% of Russia's strategic bomber fleet has been eliminated or mission killed via serious damage. However, as I said, that may be optimistic, as all battle damage assessments of high-profile missions usually are. What follows is the visually confirmed losses via satellite imagery. 10 Tu-95 Bears, 4 Tu-22M backfires, 2 A-50 mainstay AWACS aircraft, though we assume one of them is actually a mothballed spares aircraft, and 1 AN-12 medium transport. However, that is just confirmed damage visible on ISR assets. We have extra footage released by the SBU showing confirmed hits on several more, 35 in total, all of which would have caused significant damage. There is also potential shock damage and shrapnel damage from near misses and secondary detonations that could raise that tally higher in the coming days. This is serious. The impact on Russian operational readiness will be exceedingly significant. There are only around 50 Tu-95s still in service, which would mean 20% of their fleet is now gone. And those are losses they can't easily replace, even with mothballed airframes, as most of those have been cannibalized for spares to maintain the crippling operational tempo they've been running on since the start of the war. The A-50 loss is especially devastating for the same reason. They only have approximately 6 of these aircraft currently in service. The loss of even one will seriously degrade their current sortie rate and pose ever-increasing stresses on their already strained maintenance and logistics network. And as for the Tu-22s, while they have gotten off lighter in terms of overall losses, this is offset by the fact that they are the second most expensive aircraft Russia has in its arsenal, as well as being a maintenance nightmare. Time between overhauls on the backfires are much higher due to their Kuznetsov K-25 jet engines and their variable geometry wings, both of which require regular and very expensive upkeep. So the loss of even one airframe will have a devastating impact on their overall readiness rates. And the damage we've seen to the Tu-22 fleet from the videos we've got, that is serious. That is a big deal. And that's not even factoring in the financial impact of this mission. Estimates place the total dollar value of Russia's equipment losses to this operation at in excess of $7 billion. Which, when you consider that the total cost of the drones at an average cost of $500 each is around $60,000, add in labor, materials, the cost of the containers, storage sites, truck rental, plus the logistics, and of course, time for planning, call it an even $2 million for the whole operation start to finish. Think about that return on investment. And after doing all of that, after achieving all of this, the containers were fitted with demo charges so they can self-destruct, removing any remaining evidence of how they did it, which apparently punched the ticket, as it were, of several Russian security personnel who tried to investigate. So, after taking all of that information in, what does this mean for Russia's ability to prosecute their war against Ukraine? Well, for starters, their ability to consistently strike targets with air-launched cruise missiles is significantly reduced. I wouldn't go so far as to say decisively reduced, but very heavily reduced. These aircraft, as mentioned, are irreplaceable, and their maintenance cycle is already horrible as it is. Losing 20% of their Tu-95s and a quarter of their AWACS is devastating to their operational capability, which will most likely lead to a significant reduction in cruise missile strikes that will have to be made up by less effective drone munitions that are easier to intercept, or much rarer, not to mention exceedingly expensive, theater ballistic missiles, which, as post-production Animarchy here can tell you, is going to be even harder, seeing as the Ukrainians just blew up a fully loaded Iskander along with its munitions trailer and all of its missiles. And though this operation isn't decisive, it relieves considerable amounts of pressure on Ukraine's air defense while simultaneously depriving the enemy of nice things, which, as we know, is the primary objective of any military operation. The AWACS loss is also particularly important, as Russia isn't the only one carrying out a strategic bombing campaign. AWACS systems have a much longer range than ground-based radars because, guess what, they're 20,000 feet up, meaning that the Russian A-50 can be used to locate launch sites for Ukrainian drone units deep inside the country, as well as identifying forward airfields used by Ukrainian fighters. They also data link into the Russian integrated air defense system, allowing them to coordinate the raid response. This makes Ukraine's drone offensive more effective simply by removing the A-50s from the board, which we can see here actually, because the very next day the Ukrainian drone forces launched a mass offensive utilizing a very appropriate formation. I don't know if this screenshot is genuine or not. I'd like to think it is, but the sentiment is most definitely accurate. Yet the real impact of this operation is not the actual mission itself, like a lot of things with intelligence operations actually. Even with how effective it was, the real problem is its security implications. Speaking as an Australian, I know firsthand just how dependent my country is on road and rail freight using these containers. And Russia, unlike Australia or the United States, is primarily reliant on overland logistics at the point of importation, given the fact that their access to maritime trade is restricted due to their relatively few major port cities and the fact that those ports very often freeze in winter. The Black Sea could potentially be an option, if not for Turkey controlling the Bosphorus Strait, and Ukraine sinking half their fleet in the region despite not having a navy. In any case, what this means is that instead of the majority of their trade coming through a few tightly controlled trade ports, it comes across a large number of undermanned and under-resourced border crossings, while literally the entire economy runs on intercity supply lines going through thousands of different individual nodes. Do you have any idea what it would take to inspect every single container as a potential threat? Aside from being physically and logistically impossible, even if it wasn't, the amount of time and resources that would take could actually crash the Russian economy, and that isn't hyperbole. But because of that fact, it gets even worse. If you can't secure reliably against this threat, the only thing you can do is establish reactionary defensive measures. So now the Russians will have to stretch their already overtaxed air defense network even further to cover everything, which will make things even worse than they already are by a serious margin. Not that it seems to help very much given this photo. Yes, that is a modern Pantsir S-2 anti-aircraft system right next to a destroyed Tu-95. Come on, dude, you had one job. Literally one job. It's right there. Anyway, or failing that, they will need to remodel every single major strategic bomber base with new taxiways and a full complement of hardened shelters capable of housing large aircraft. Keep in mind the Tu-160 Blackjack, the largest Russian bomber in service, is around 180 feet long, while the Tu-95 has a wingspan of 165 feet wide. The Tu-160 and Tu-22 can retract their wings, so that's not much of an issue for them. The cost of building hardened shelters of sufficient size for all of these aircraft would be excessive, to put it mildly, and it would still take a considerable amount of time. And this fact has caused a serious level of unease among Pentagon and US Air Force officials, because, like the Russians, the United States Air Force keeps most of its strategic bomber fleet parked out in the open on the tarmac rather than in hangars, for the same reason. It's just too expensive. The only aircraft that have their own hangars are the B-2 stealth bombers for obvious reasons, and even then, when they forward deploy like they are currently at Diego Garcia, they are parked on the tarmac with everyone else. Those aircraft cost the equivalent of a small country's GDP, and Ukraine has just proven that you can wipe them all out with one man and a $500 drone with a bag of Anfo strapped to it. This operation has changed the face of strategic aerial warfare as we know it, while going down in history as one of the most legendary covert operations of all time. And as if to put the icing on an already delicious cake, Alex Jones had a meltdown about it on InfoWars.
In that right now, and all the war games lead right towards thermonuclear war and Armageddon. So for all the crazies out there, all the leftists that love evil and love war and everything else, you're getting what you want right now. And I predict we're going to see a massive response to the Russians. And the corporate media will say, look, they're attacking Ukraine for no reason. NATO started the war. They overthrew the governments in Ukraine. They did all of this. They brag about it, for God's sakes. And finally, the Trump administration comes out here.
I just want to fucking stop these people. They gotta be stopped. We gotta stop them.
Anyway, Ukraine pulling an ace combat in real life and wiping out a quarter of Russia's strategic bombers was not on my bingo card for 2025. Post-production Animarchy here, just popping back in to let you know that since I recorded this video, the Ukrainians have actually hacked into Tupolov's servers, and so now they have all the personal emails, addresses, and personnel files of all the engineers who work there, and detailed information on all the projects that Tupolov has going on right now. So even if the Russians want to try and repair and rebuild these aircraft, chances are the equipment and engineers necessary won't be around for very long. Oh, and they also launched a mass drone strike on Engels 2, their largest strategic bomber base, and blew up the fuel depot. So none of them can fly anymore. At least not until they truck more fuel in. And the Ukrainians have shot down an Su-35 as well. This is a second post-production Animarchy. Man, it's not been a good week for the Russian Air Force, has it? But as I was writing this, they also apparently sabotaged several road and rail bridges in the Russo-Ukrainian border regions, while simultaneously attacking the foundations of the infamous Crimean Kerch Bridge with a drone torpedo that looks like a Johnson. An attack we know took place because the Ukrainians can apparently hack the Russian CCTV network at will. For someone who doesn't hold the cards, as President Trump put it, Zelensky seems to have played a straight flush. But that's not what we're here for, is it? Come on now. No. What we're here for are the memes. So without further ado, donate to the charity, let's get the lads a truck. More Soviet aviation content coming soon. Slava Ukraina. I'll see you next time. Hit that track!
No larger than a mosquito, designed for battlefield use, this tiny device can carry out reconnaissance and other specialized missions. It's controlled through software on a smartphone. Spotting it with the naked eye is nearly impossible. While the exact details about its range and flight time remain undisclosed, if officially deployed, it could become the smallest drone ever put into service. China has unveiled a bionic drone no larger than a mosquito, designed for battlefield use. This tiny device can carry out reconnaissance and other specialized missions. It's controlled through software on a smartphone. Spotting it with the naked eye is nearly impossible. While the exact details about its range and flight time remain undisclosed, if officially deployed, it could become the smallest drone ever put into service. China has unveiled a bionic drone no larger
So you might have heard about the dead internet theory. This is a conspiracy theory suggesting that the internet, particularly after 2016 or 2017, is no longer predominantly powered by human activity, but rather by bots and algorithms designed to manipulate online discourse and minimize authentic human interaction. Now, whether this is a conspiracy theory or not, this idea is becoming more and more real every month. And it's powered by advancements in how well we're able to create these neural nets, aka AI. The robot revolution is here, and apparently it's coming for YouTubers. Why YouTubers? I just got this gig. Please don't replace me. It's been like 2 years. Come on. But the point is that AI created videos are quietly taking over YouTube. And this is the statistic that really got to me. 4 of the top 10 YouTube channels by subscribers in May featured AI-generated materials in every video. Here's one example. This is Masters of Prophecy. This channel has been growing like gangbusters. So here it is, 31 million subscribers. So if you take a look here, this is May 2025. It has over 100 million views. And Social Blade projects its growth to be kind of high, like based on the current estimates, how fast it was growing. So we're expecting to see it almost doubling its total views by the end of the year. I mean, that's massive, massive growth if it continues. And here's one of the videos, 85 million views from 5 months ago. It's just AI music, AI visuals. It's kind of this 80s punk synth type of thing. I don't even know what to describe it, kind of 80s vibes a little bit. And this is, I mean, getting tens of millions of views. And there's a number of other channels that they present here as mostly AI generated. But the question is, why are we seeing this? Is YouTube doing anything about this? So YouTube, interestingly, evolved in the past to pursue various trends. For example, it incentivized people to do longer videos, more professional looking videos so that it can compete with Netflix, for example. More recently, there's been a huge push towards the short form content to compete with TikTok. And now it's morphing yet again to kind of enter the age of AI and AI generated video. This is another channel, a Chick of Honor with 10 million subscribers, showing various cutesy animals in various situations. This is having a lot of success as well. There are even whispers that big names like Mr. Beast are getting into some AI generated content to maybe launch an offshoot to try to kind of capitalize on a new AI wave to create videos that are AI generated. Now, Mr. Beast did recently get into some trouble for posting a thumbnail generator tool that uses AI, saying if creators don't want the tools, no worries. The tool, while it received positive reactions, it also generated a lot of really negative backlash from people that viewed generative AI as wasteful, tacky, and unethical. Now, how they promoted the tool probably had some role to play in it. They did say using this tool literally feels like cheating, and that the users can type in any channel on YouTube and it will use it as an inspiration for the thumbnail it's generating. As you can see here, some people even refer to it as a plagiarism tool as opposed to an AI thumbnail tool. A few months ago on X, I posted this actual photo of an actual print book, like a hardcover copy of a book, that someone was reading when they realized that it contained a portion of a chat GPT response in it. So this is an actual physical book that somebody's reading, and the story goes on, and then there's a character in the story that's talking and they're having certain emotions or whatever, and then kind of like in between there, something along the lines of like, okay, now take this section and make it even more punchy with an even more emotion. And then at the beginning of the chat GPT response, like, okay, here it is. Here's the section with a little bit more emotional oomph. Here it goes. And it's the next section of the book. So somebody was using ChatGPT to basically write a book, or at the very least, maybe edit some portions of it to maybe rewrite certain paragraphs to make them more interesting, but forgot to take out kind of the chat GPT response. That portion of it kind of left that in there, and the editor didn't catch it for some reason. And that book went to print and was sold with that little artifact buried in there. OnlyFans was also recently sued. OnlyFans, of course, allows you to chat with female models, have one-on-one conversations with them, and this is a paid service. And now they're being sued by two dudes who suddenly realized they may not be chatting with real models, and instead chatting to chatbots like ChatGPT or some other neural networks that are operating these chatbots. I don't really see the problem. They are chatting with the models, AI models. But I guess those are not the models that they've had in mind, so I guess that makes sense. Now, I think the big thing to understand here is that we're still missing a pretty big piece of the puzzle that's going to make this thing work a lot better, put it on steroids, so to speak, and that is the computer use. So OpenAI has their operator, Anthropic has computer use. They're all calling it different things, but it's the idea that you can have these AI agents navigate the web for you. Now, currently, we do have bots that are able to navigate the web, but they do it like a computer. They do it like a crawl bot from Google, for example. They don't interact with the website in the same way that you and I do. They don't use the keyboard and mouse, etc. And this allows these companies to filter that traffic out to kind of realize when it's maybe fraudulent, if it's interacting with your ads, or automated. But it's very possible that very, very soon we're going to get to the point where these things can operate computers just like you and I would. At which point they'll be indistinguishable from actual human users going about their business, clicking on ads, watching YouTube videos, etc. So for example, here's ChatGPT. It's operated. This is by OpenAI. And we're going to say, go to Reddit, find the most popular recent post about AI, and find one comment that is the most negative against AI. And we'll click go. And so what we're going to see here is it's going to open up a sort of a virtual desktop with a virtual browser and go to hopefully reddit.com. There it is. Go for it, little robot. You're doing great. Now, I've seen these work very well. I've seen these work not as well. Again, when it hooks into the website directly, when it navigates it like a computer would, these tend to be really, really good. But very often you'll get certain messages saying, oh, automated traffic detected, etc. So again, it can navigate the web extremely well, but it's obvious to those websites that it's potentially probably automated traffic. On the other hand, this is operating it like a human being would. It's using the mouse and the keyboard. Now, since this is kind of a virtual machine, there's still little telltale signs that the company could use to understand that it's not real traffic, that it's not a real human user. But that line is getting blurrier. Like it's going to get harder and harder to filter out automated traffic. So as you can see here, it's been blocked by network security. So again, Reddit was able to understand that this is automated traffic. Let's try this. Search on x.com for negative posts about AI. The short form content is especially susceptible to AI video. Since AI video can be anything, you can create a lot of novel, weird, extreme videos that really tap into that dopamine center in your brain and force you to watch all the way through. Here's Angry Penguin PNG posting his kind of a split test of normal videos that he posts that have a 3.6% completion across the video versus his VO3 AI generated videos at almost 25%. 25% of the people watching the video all the way through to the very, very end. That's a big, big number. And as he puts it here, the age of generative media is here. There are some big channels here on YouTube, even in the AI space, that are using AI to generate their videos. The voices, a lot of the images. There's a few AI editing tools. They're still not great, but they're getting better. But this might be kind of the next big wave. You know, before AI, we had the dead internet theory, right? But we don't know how true that was. Certainly a lot of it was algorithmic, but algorithms are driven by people. We tend to click on outrage content and the things that kind of make us mad. We tend to sometimes watch silly stuff that we're embarrassed to admit to later. I can't have TikTok open because it will suck me in. For whatever reason, I'm very susceptible to it, especially if it's like late at night. If I'm tired, it's very easy to kind of zone off. So I don't even touch it. And of course, with AI generated content, video, voices, it just opens the door for so much more. More attractive avatars. Everything is voiced over with pleasant, perfectly sounding voices. Suno AI, which is that music platform, I think produces great AI music. It's very catchy. A lot of this can be automated, right? You can have AI be the script writer. You can have it be the music producer, the image generator, the video generator. It can do everything on autopilot and post it. So I don't quite know where this is going, but I think the idea of the dead internet theory is becoming a lot more likely. The next kind of big piece is these AI agents being able to navigate the web, like I showed you in that operator, which failed, by the way. So a lot of them failed to complete the task. I think mostly OpenAI is trying to push us to use it for purchasing stuff, OpenTable, StubHub, etc. Let's say shopping, Target. Here, for example, it's suggesting, let's see if I can buy some skincare cream at my local store or find a refurbished KitchenAid stand mixer. Let's see how well it does at that. But the point is, we're entering an era where these AI agents and various AI generative tools will take over more and more of our social media, more and more of the web. and with the introduction of things like Operator, not exactly OpenAI's technology, but some open source version of it, which we're already seeing coming out. For example, out of China, they have a lot of open source versions that are able to do this. So we have on GitHub open source things that can navigate your computer. At that point, also the user side will be automated. Those bots will be able to watch videos and read content and click the thumbs up button. By the way, prove to me you're not a bot. Go ahead and click that thumbs up button really fast. That lets me know that you're a real, unique, and wonderful human being. Go ahead and click that button. Also click the subscribe button if you haven't already. YouTube and Google are, of course, seemingly leaning into it. So they own VO3. So if they can somehow have VO3 generate content for YouTube, kind of monetize both sides of that, of course, that's going to be great for them. As this article points out here, Masters of Prophecy, that YouTube 80s channel that plays kind of like that music in the purple and blue schemes. I mean, it's okay. It's pretty good. I've seen better, but they're getting a lot of views. And as this article puts it, that growth looks suspicious, right? Because they went from a few hundred subscribers in February to over 30 million in June. That's a fast growing channel. Holy moly. By the way, in June, based on their views, they're probably getting paid something like 100,000 a month, depending on how much they're getting paid for the CPMs, maybe as high as 400,000. It's kind of hard to tell without knowing what their audience is, whether it's younger, older, US versus outside of US, where primarily that audience is based. But for 100 million views, you're going to get paid quite a bit. But the big question is here, if this is driven by AI, not just on the creator side, but also maybe on the user side, right? Maybe there's a little bit of a shenanigans going on there. Question is, how does that affect the people that are paying for ads? They are the people that are supporting YouTube by purchasing advertising on that platform. And these AI bots might not buy a product from an advertiser. Most likely won't. So let me know what you think about this. Are you okay with AI generated content? Are you worried that the internet basically kind of dies if it hasn't already? Or if not dies, then at least become kind of artificially populated by bots, where humans kind of get served whatever the AI algorithm decides the human being should see, and it's largely curated by AI as well as sort of upvoted and pushed out by AI. Let me know what you think. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. My name is Wes Roth, and I'll see you in the next one.
And say like what the actual hell is going on.
Right.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it.
Hey, Sea Milk.
Hey guys, I just wanted to welcome you to a new episode of Cribs here. Wanted to show you out one of my new places. I have many homes, but this is just my newest one, as you can see. Beautiful separate villa here in China, very, very expensive. So we can see the barbed wire here, I think adds a nice little touch, nice little pizzazz. This is the beacon that kind of guides me home, when I park the Bentley in the driveway. Very good stuff. Beautiful little Roman type pillars here, and I got the razor wire touch as well. I thought that kind of really livened things up, you know what I mean? I'm kind of an edgy dude.
Speaking of edges, yeah. Why is this edge not lining up?
Dude, why are you trying to embarrass me?
Oh,
what the hell, man? What are you trying to say about my house?
It's about to fall down.
In all seriousness, though, a lot of people, and our patrons, by the way, Winston and I, our patrons asked us if we could do an update on ghost cities. And ghost cities in China, super interesting topic. I think you'd agree, right?
Oh, yeah.
And basically, they said, you guys rode through the ghost town last time, right?
Yeah, for sure, we did.
But can you get out and actually, find one?
Well, before we continue, I just wanted to...
Hello. Are you a human or a robot? Hopefully not a bot.
Hi there, human robot. Are you a human or a robot? human robot? Hello. Are you human or robot?
Human robot? Hi. How's it going? Am I getting botted right now? Please say it ain't so. Thanks for the first time chat though. Welcome in. Are you human or are you robot?
In this video, I'm going to show you how to take flat, boring scenes like these and turn them into something punchy and striking in Unity. Art can't fix a bad game, but it can boost a good one, and luckily it's not too difficult to create solid visuals nowadays, even if you're not an artist. I hear from programmers all the time who want to get into making games, but worry that they don't have the art chops to make something visually interesting. Before getting into games, my background was in software development, so in this video, I want to show you how you can create beautiful visuals without necessarily needing to know 3D modeling and texturing. Because here's the thing, if you already know how to write a little bit of code, then you actually have a superpower: shaders.
Anyone who's any kind of a construction person is going to look at this and say, like, what the actual hell is going on?
Right.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it.
Hey, Sea Milk.
Hey guys, I just wanted to welcome you to a new episode of Cribs here. Wanted to show you out one of my new places. I have many homes, but this is just my newest one, as you can see. Beautiful separate villa here in China, very, very expensive. So we can see the barbed wire here, I think adds a nice little touch, nice little pizzazz. This is the beacon that kind of guides me home, you know, when I park the Bentley in the driveway. Very good stuff. Beautiful little Roman type pillars here, and I got the razor wire touch as well. I thought that kind of really livened things up, you know what I mean? I'm kind of an edgy dude.
Speaking of edges,
yeah.
why is this edge not lining up?
Dude, why are you trying to embarrass me?
Oh,
What the hell, man? What are you trying to say about my house?
It's about to fall down.
In all seriousness, though, a lot of people, and our patrons, by the way, Winston and I, our patrons asked us if we could do an update on ghost cities. And ghost cities in China, super interesting topic, I think you'd agree, right?
Oh, yeah.
And basically they said, you guys rode through the ghost town last time, right?
Got it. Yeah, for sure, we did.
But can you get out and actually, you know, find one?
Well, before we continue, I just wanted to point out the construction quality that's going on here. A little earlier, I was messing around with this just because, and you know, you can pull it apart by hand, and it's actually got wood inside. Look at that, it's wood, or at least some kind of, I'm not quite sure if it's twine or wood or fiberglass or whatever, but this is not a very sturdy structure, and as you can see, half the tiles have fallen off, and it's...
I want you to give them more details of this place before I tell them how old it is.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can look around, and you can just look, it's in a very bad state of disrepair. Tiles have fallen off the walls have cracked and are falling down. Actually, there are balconies up there that have collapsed.
Yeah, shit, dude, look at this.
Yeah, balconies up there that have completely collapsed. In fact, roofs that have collapsed, and there's all sorts of things going on. It's in a horrible state of disrepair. Anyway, Seamilk, did we not see this place actually? Did we not see this place actually get built?
Yeah, it was about 3 years ago. This is before ADV China.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before it. And we were on trips. We go down this main road pretty much every time we go anywhere here for riding. And this is obviously, you know, this is before we started the channel and everything, but we have seen this place, you know, piece by piece go up. We've seen the familiar cranes setting this up, and this was only 3 years ago in its infancy, just getting the kind of those rebar things put down, and the cement trucks were coming in, and this is literally 3 years ago, so that was about 2015.
Was it 3? Maybe, yeah, it could be
there and about
3, 4 years thereabouts.
3 or 4 years ago, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, look at the tiles and the floor all coming out.
I mean, it's literally, it could fall over tomorrow.
Yeah, it's in an awful state. Anyway,
we're talking about ghost town.
If you look into the distance,
yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, if you look, like, a lot of these places are not even occupied, as usual.
Of course.
However, all you need to do is look in any direction. I mean, any direction, left or right from here.
Like spin it around and look.
Yeah, you will be able to see, you know, more ghost cities being built, more and more property being built. It boggles the mind because nobody's even moved into these places. They've probably already paid for them as investments.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've got these things running into such bad disrepair, I mean, we got water.
Why are they collecting the water there?
That I have no idea. But if you take a look at the wall behind it, all the tiles have come loose and fallen off.
Look at inside, dude. Come here.
Yep.
By the way?
No.
What I'm trying to say is that this happens very, very often. This is very, very common in China. And we're actually in a wealthy province, right?
Yeah, we are.
Now, I want to give these guys an update because we said we would. The update here is that we came back to this very villa that we saw go up.
Yeah.
And it's already falling apart 3 to 4 years later. But the big update is what's kind of happening to the property bubble right now.
Yep.
I've already seen a couple places in Zhejiang and Jiangsu province that have tanking property prices. And this is an area where they were seeing 1,000% growth, 1,000% growth in property prices now starting to go down.
Yeah.
So it's, the Western media keeps talking about this property bubble in China, and people say, when's it going to stop? When's this going to stop, right? It's absolutely happening right now, for sure. This is not indicative of a property bubble. It is in terms of, like, there's too much investment flooding in, and people are buying these shit properties as investment. But the thing that's actually happening in China now is prices are starting to go down, like I said, but there are hot places like Shenzhen and Shanghai that don't seem to be slowing down, and they have to at some point.
The thing is, everybody says that it's impossible for them to slow down because the government will always step in. The thing is, you know what's happening around us here, specifically these villas and other ones like it here. Because Shenzhen is such an expensive city, people couldn't afford to buy property in Shenzhen. So what they would do is they would buy houses in Huizhou. This is about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes drive.
I've seen a lot of Shenzhen plates on cars.
What they do is they buy their house here, their investment properties, which they come and stay at, and then they commute.
Yeah.
But they found out that it just wasn't sustainable. So people would buy a place here for, say, 5, 10 million RMB, 6 million RMB. And then
these usually go for about $1 million US.
Yeah. Then they were finding that they couldn't actually sell them.
Right.
And so the price started to tank.
Right.
And it was in the news probably about a year ago, people were talking about this.
Right.
Man, look at those. Oh man, just look at those, whatever they are, cornices, buttresses, whatever you call those things. They're just falling apart.
I actually feel unsafe being here, dude. Like, shit could fall off and hit us in the head.
I mean, look at that. That's just like a hollow tube that's got a piece of wire holding it together. It's disgusting. Anyone who's any kind of a construction person is going to look at this and say, like, what the actual hell is going on?
Right.
Anyway, the fact of the matter is we wanted to update you because although you've got a lot of these places, dilapidated places, there's still new ones going up all around us.
Everywhere. And the thing is, like, we haven't been proven wrong. Like, these new ones,
yeah,
it doesn't even compare to the building. You remember the place I used to live in, that really shitty building?
Yeah.
That was built in, like, 1991 or something?
Sure.
That piece of shit is still standing, right? These
Right.
will not. I
Yeah,
promise you, dude. Like, the building quality compared to even 10 or 20 years ago is getting so cheap because they have to spring these things up, propped up by the government, get the investors in, get the money in, and they're literally making them out of freaking cardboard. Like,
Yeah,
or